I want to talk today about the two biggest mistakes that I see when people write a business plan. The two biggest mistakes that I see when people write a business plan is number one, they don't talk about the value they actually provide their customers. So typically, when I review a business plan, I will see things about when the company was founded, why the company was founded. I'll see cash flow projections. I'll see pages and pages of information about product or service specs and things like that, packages and different things like that. I'll see pages about demographics and those sort of things. And a lot of that stuff is actually fairly vague data. On average, business plans that I review are between 25 and 35 pages. And as I'm going through it, I'm like, okay, there's a little bit about the market, there's a little bit about the industry, there's a little bit about this. But yet, when I ask, hey, so how do you solve a problem for your customer? Or what problem do you solve for your customer? Or what value do you provide? There's nothing, there's literally zero in the business plan about that. And that's really the heart of selling. And so, in fact, when I look at a business plan, there's no section that's entitled selling. I never see one entitled selling. So out of 25 to 35 pages, 0 pages about the topic of selling what it is that you are going to provide to the market. So that's number one. There's nothing about the value you provide, and then that ties into how you're going to sell it. Number two, this to me is one of the really big ones, is there's nothing about marketing in there. So typically I'll see maybe a paragraph that says we're going to use up-to-date marketing. It's literally the language I've seen in, up-to-date, social media, marketing strategies that are cutting edge, or we're going to research strategies. Or like, you're going to research strategies on how to market? And so it's always a red flag to me when I'm looking at a business plan, and literally out of their 25 to 35 pages, there's a paragraph, maybe 2 paragraphs about how you're going to market the business, what strategies you'll use, things like that. And it's usually really, really vague stuff. So what does that tell me? That tells me that person really hasn't thought through how they're going to market and then how they're going to sell. So the marketing side is, what strategies are we going to use? Are we going to use cold calling? Which, yes, you're going to use cold calling a bit in government contracting, because you're going to be calling contracting officers to introduce them to your company. That's a version of cold calling. But how are you going to do that? What research are you going to gather beforehand? How are you going to prep yourself? All that kind of stuff. Are you going to be using trade shows? Or are you going to be, using teaming? Or are you going to be using fill in the blank on the strategies? And so those are the things that you need to think through on how you're going to put your brand in the market. Are you going to use social media? Different things like that. How are you going to put your brand into the market and introduce that to your buyers? When you think about your buyers, that's another piece that I think is really important that I don't see. So I started with 2, and I think I got 4 now. But when you look at your buyers, the who, it's not just the government. It's not the Air Force, the Army. It's thinking about at what levels, depending on what you sell. Yes, a contracting officer may be one of those levels. But are there other levels? Are there program managers? Are there small business office people that you need to meet in order to sell your product? Now, small business reps are not going to buy your product, excuse me, but they are going to introduce you to people that will help you buy your product. So getting to know who all those people are that are in that chain, if you will, of buyers, and describing those people and how you're going to get to those people, and then what the message is for those people. Those are really, really important pieces of your business plan. And so if you don't have those in your business plan, those are things that I highly encourage you to go back, take a look at. And you don't even have to start your business plan. You could just sit down with a piece of paper and say, you know what? I don't think we've really thought through as a company who all of the people are in our buying chain. I don't think we've done that. I don't think we've described who they are, what's important to them. I don't think we've really sat down and described what our value really is to go with us versus the other guy. Why would you choose us instead of somebody else? What have we done that's so cool that would make you choose us? And then how are we getting to these people? Are we getting to them through partners? Are we getting to them through other different methods? How are we doing all that stuff? And so I think if you sit down and take a look at all that stuff, I think you'll walk away with a really good plan of action and a really well thought out process for this. And especially if you're right now, you're thinking, hey, it's close to the end of the year, especially while I'm shooting this. I'm trying to gear up for next year. This is a really good time to do that. So if you have any questions about these things, just let me know. Again, real simple stuff. What do you sell? How are you selling it? The marketing aspect, the value you provide, who your buyers are. Those are all really important things you need to figure out to make sure you're selling to the right people and growing your company. So if you have questions, let me know. We'll see you next time.